The chandelier above gleamed brighter than the stars that night, laughter echoing through the grand John family estate. You stood in the center of it all, wrapped in a champagne colored gown, nervous but excited. It was your engagement day. Your heart raced as you fiddled with your bracelet, eyes scanning the familiar faces until they landed on him, John Jungkook. Your fiance. He looked impossibly handsome in a classic black suit, his hair slicked back, his expression composed, calm. A CEO at just 28. Jungkook was every bit the definition of perfection. You had admired him from afar for years, every business article, every magazine feature. You had devoured them all like a silent fan, so when your parents brought up the proposal, you almost thought it was a dream. But tonight it was real. Everyone clapped as the rings were exchanged. Jungkook gently took your hand. His touch was warm yet respectful. You look beautiful, he said softly, and your heart practically melted. You looked up at him, your fingers still trembling slightly. He leaned in just a little close enough for only you to hear. You know, I used to imagine this moment, he whispered, but reality just outdid every dream. Your lips parted slightly, overwhelmed. I never believed in fate. He continued, his thumb gently brushing your knuckles. But then you walked in wearing that ridiculous yellow scarf at my cousin's birthday party years ago, and I couldn't look away. You let out a soft laugh. That scarf was hideous, and yet you made it unforgettable. He replied with a smile that made your chest flutter. He gently squeezed your hand. Today I promise to be the man you always thought I was, and better, not because I have to, but because you deserve nothing less. It was perfect. Everyone was happy, celebrating, smiling at the cute scene of you guys whispering to each other, thinking no one was noticing. It was perfect, almost, except for one pair of eyes that never left you, John Junghyun, his twin brother. Standing near the bar, dressed in a charcoal suit with his hair messily styled and a shadow of stubble on his face, Junghyun looked nothing like Jungkook. Rougher, wilder, dangerous. He clinked his glass but didn't smile. He hadn't clapped during the ring ceremony either. And every time Jungkook brushed a hand on your back or leaned in to say something, Junghyun's jaw tightened. You didn't understand why he seemed so angry. Later that night, as the function died down and most guests had left, you stepped out to the garden for a breather. That's when you heard footsteps. So you really went through with it. Came a low voice behind you. You turned, heart skipping a beat. Junghyun? He didn't say anything, just stared at you, eyes dark and intense. Didn't think you would remember me. He said with a bitter smile. It's been, what, 10 years since I disappeared? To be honest, yes, it's hard to recognize you because you have completely changed. You replied, your voice was calm but careful, but not that hard, you know. There's still something in your eyes, that same stubborn fire you had even as a kid. He looked at you for a moment, surprised. You remember that? I remember everything. The way you used to glare at the world like it owed you something. The way you disappeared without a word, leaving your family to pick up the pieces. Junghyun let out a dry laugh. Yeah, well, the world did owe me. It still does. You shook your head. No, you just never let anyone in. Not even your brother. And definitely not me. He took a step closer. His eyes were burning into you. And yet here I am, after all these years. Not for him, not for anyone else. Just you. You looked away, unsettled by the intensity in his voice. You don't get to come back and act like I belong to you. I'm with Jungkook. I chose him. You didn't even get a chance to choose. It was arranged. You fell for the version of him everyone sees, but I know him better than anyone, and I know he can't love you the way I can. You stared at him. Your voice was low but steady. That's when you are wrong, Junghyun. Jungkook didn't need to steal my heart. He earned it, slowly and honestly. His jaw clenched. And yet you are standing here with me, talking, listening. I'm only standing here because I thought you were family, because I hoped just for a second that you came back a better man. But now I see you are still running, just in a different direction. He didn't respond. You gave him a one last look, your eyes filled with quiet strength. Good night, Junghyun. And yes, now I'm your brother's fiancée, your sister in law. Know your boundaries. And you turned, walking back inside, leaving him alone in the dark, with nothing but the sound of your footsteps. For a moment there was silence, then came the low, bitter whisper of his voice, meant only for himself. Sister in law. He scoffed under his breath, a humorless smile tugging at the corner of his lips. You think that changes anything? His eyes lifted toward the glowing windows of the house. You can wear his ring, say his name, smile for his cameras. His voice dropped, dark and venom laced. But I saw you first. I loved you before him. He let out a soft, almost broken laugh, and I'll be the last one standing. With that, Junghyun slipped back into the shadows, the fire of obsession burning fiercer than ever behind his cold eyes. Married life preparations began quickly after the engagement. You were constantly shuffling between shopping, guest lists, and functions. Jungkook stayed busy too, but he always made time for you, even if it was just a coffee date at the company cafeteria or a 10-minute video call before bed. And every time you were with him, your heart grew fonder. He was gentle, thoughtful, and so respectful. You loved how he listened when you talked about silly things, how he quietly placed your favorite sweets on your plate during family dinners, and how he never pressured you. It made you believe in the fairy tale. It was late, the city lights casting a soft glow through the wide glass windows of Jungkook's penthouse. You were curled up on the plush couch, barefoot, your dress shirt borrowed from his closet hanging loosely over your frame. He sat beside you, shirt sleeves rolled up, his laptop long forgotten on the table. I can't believe the wedding is just a few weeks away. You murmured, sipping from his mug. He looked over at you, a slow smile curving his lips. You're more excited about the cake tasting than actually marrying me. You laughed softly, nudging him with your shoulder. Maybe, but only because the cake won't kiss me the moment no one is watching. Jungkook turned toward you fully then, the playful spark in his eyes softening into something deeper. He reached up to tuck a strand of hair behind your ear, his fingers brushing against your cheek. Can I kiss you even when everyone is watching? He asked quietly, your breath caught. I mean, you whispered, I wouldn't exactly stop you. The moment fell suspended in time, his hand on your cheek, your eyes locked. Then he leaned in slowly, carefully, his lips brushed yours, light, questioning, until you responded, melting into the kiss. His other hand found your waist, pulling you closer into his lap. Your fingers slid into his hair, his breath hitched against your mouth. It was gentle but growing needier, like something both of you had waited too long for. And just as his mouth moved to your jaw, trailing warmth across your skin, the front door clicked open. Jungkook. Junghyun's voice rang out, footsteps echoing into the room. We need to talk. It's about. He stopped, cold in the doorway. You jumped back instinctively, heart racing. Your cheeks flushed and lips parted. Jungkook stood abruptly, jaw tightening. Junghyun's eyes darkened as they flicked from Jungkook's posture to your disheveled appearance, shirt slipping off your shoulder, breath still uneven. Jungkook's voice was low and firm. Do you mind knocking next time? Junghyun's gaze locked into yours. His voice was eerily calm. Didn't know I had to knock before watching someone lose the only thing that ever mattered to me. Jungkook's expression changed instantly, his arm around you tensed. His voice, when he finally spoke, was razor sharp. What do you mean by that? Junghyun's eyes flickered just for a second, but the smirk that followed was bitter and hollow. Nothing, he muttered, shaking his head. I thought you were alone. Jungkook didn't move, didn't say a word, but you could feel it, how stiff he had gone. Like every muscle in his body was holding him back from exploding. His jaw clenched so tight you were scared. That look in his eyes, it wasn't anger, it was betrayal, it was pain, slow burning fury that he didn't dare let loose in front of you. Junghyun took a breath, looked at you again, and then just as fast turned toward the door. I'll see myself out. He walked away, leaving only his silence behind. The door closed with a soft click. Jungkook still hadn't moved. You turned to him, placing a hand gently on his chest. Are you okay? He asked, turning toward you. You nodded. I'm fine. He sighed and slowly wrapped his arms around you. I'm sorry about that. It's okay, that's not your fault. The door slammed shut behind him with a force that rattled the entire frame. Junghyun stood still for a second, his chest heaving, eyes wild with a mixture of rage and something far more dangerous heartbreak. The apartment was dark except for the faint amber glow from the city lights spilling in through the tall windows, but all he could see was you. The way your body curled into Jungkook's, the way your lips had looked flushed, parted, the way you had stared at him, startled and guilty. He ripped off his blazer and flung it across the room. It crashed against a glass vase on the console table, shattering it into pieces. He rolled, dragging his hand through his hair, pacing like a caged animal. That wasn't supposed to happen. You weren't supposed to fall for Jungkook. You weren't supposed to let him touch you like that. You were supposed to wait to see him, to feel him, not his twin, not the man who got everything handed to him. Junghyun grabbed the nearest bottle of whiskey and poured himself a glass, his hands trembling with fury. He downed it in one shot, the burn in his throat not nearly enough to numb what was happening inside his chest. He slammed the glass down on the table, shattering it this time on purpose. You don't even freaking know her. He spat to no one. You don't know the way she hums when she's nervous, or how she looks at people when she's trying to pretend she's okay. He paced again, fingers twitching like they were ready to hit anything. She was mine, even before she knew it. Junghyun paused in front of a photo frame, an old one from childhood. Jungkook was smiling wild in the center, arm thrown around Junghyun's shoulder like a perfect brother. He snatched the frame and hurled it across the room. It cracked against the wall and fell. His voice was low now, like a vow whispered into the dark. You might have her now, Jungkook, but this isn't over. A cruel smile curved across his lips. Not until she says my name the way she said yours. And with that, he poured another glass, his mind already spinning with all the ways he could take back what he believed was rightfully his. You stood in front of the mirror, turning side to side, admiring the deep crimson gown hugging your curves just right. The fabric shimmered under the soft lighting, and for a moment you could almost imagine walking down the aisle. Except, of course, in white. A soft knock on the fitting room door startled you. The sales associate peeked in. You have a visitor, she said, confused. He said he's family. Your brows furrowed. You hadn't asked anyone to come. Still adjusting the gown, you stepped out, your heels clicking lightly on the polished floor. And there he was, leaning casually against the far wall, dressed in all black. Junghyun stood with his arms crossed, his eyes tracing your figure from head to toe. What are you doing here? You asked, trying to keep your voice firm. He didn't move. Red suits you, he muttered, his voice low and unreadable. Your spine stiffened. I didn't invite you here, you said sharply. He raised an eyebrow. Didn't need an invitation. This place is public. You crossed your arms over your chest. You shouldn't be watching me. I'm not watching. I'm remembering. That made you pause. Remembering what? He tilted his head. The first time I saw you in red, you were 16, charity fundraiser. You hated the heels you wore and you kept sneaking off to the balcony to breathe. Your lips parted slightly. You hadn't thought anyone had noticed back then, let alone him. I remember a lot of things, he added, pushing off the wall and walking toward you slowly, especially when it comes to you. Before you could reply, your phone buzzed. Jungkook's name lit up on the screen. You grabbed your purse. I don't know what game you are playing, but I'm not a part of it. Don't follow me again. He said nothing, just watched you walk away, that same unreadable expression darkening in the mirror behind you. Pre-wedding dinner was filled with laughter, clinking glasses, and soft music. Everyone seemed to be in high spirits, especially Jungkook's parents, who couldn't stop talking about how perfect you were for him. You excused yourself to the restroom, and when you returned, Jungkook's seat was empty. He had to step out of an urgent call. His mother said you sighed and glanced at your phone. No text from him yet. An hour passed, then two. Guests began leaving, and your ride hadn't returned. You stood near the front entrance of the venue, scrolling through your messages, when a sleek black car pulled up beside you. The window rolled down slowly. Need a ride? Junghyun's voice came. You didn't move. Where's Jungkook? He shrugged, one hand lazily on the steering wheel. Don't know, didn't ask. I saw you standing out here alone and thought, I'll wait. You said firmly, stepping back. He smiled, amused. Suit yourself. But you look cold and tired. He revved the engine softly. It's a long way home. What if he doesn't show? You refused to answer. The car pulled away, disappearing into the night. But what unsettled you the most was not his presence. It was the way you saw the same car parked 2 blocks behind your building later that night. You had come to surprise Jungkook at his office, a little box of pastries in your hand and a bright smile ready for his tired face. But as you stepped into the lobby, the lights flickered once, then again, and everything went black. A soft murmur swept through the official building. Emergency lights flickered on in the hallway. You sighed and leaned against the wall near the elevator, pulling out your phone, and then someone touched your wrist. You turned sharply. It was Junghyun. Your heart jumped into your throat. What are you doing here? He was far too calm, standing just inches away in the dim light. I could ask you the same. This is Jungkook's office. I'm his fiance. You replied, your voice tight. He smirked, his eyes lingering on your face. I know, you never stop reminding me. You pulled your hand away, glaring at him. He leaned in slightly, voice low. But do you want to be? Your breath caught for a second, but you stood your ground. Yes, you said through gritted teeth, and stay away from me. He didn't move. You know, there's going to come a day when he disappoints you, when he leaves you waiting again, and when that happens, you cut him off. I won't come running to you. He chuckled under his breath, eyes still fixed on you. You say that now. Just then the lights flickered back on and you moved quickly toward the elevator, your hand shaking slightly as you pressed the button. Junghyun stayed where he was, watching you step inside. Just before the doors closed, he called out, almost too softly. But I'll still be here when you are done pretending. You tried to ignore him, tried to avoid being alone near him, but Junghyun was always one step ahead. During the rehearsal dinner, Jungkook had to take a call right before your couple dance. You waited, nervous and giddy, but he didn't return on time, and guess who stepped in to take his place? Junghyun. One dance won't kill you, he said before pulling you to the dance floor. The music started, your body stiffened. Relax, he whispered, everyone is watching. You don't want to make your prince look bad. You wanted to scream, but you danced. He held you a little too tightly, spun you a little too slowly, and when the song ended, he leaned in and whispered, he won't show up every time, but I will. You pulled away. That night you finally told Jungkook. He froze, his expression darkened. He did what? You explained everything, the comments, the stalking, the dancing. Jungkook looked like he was holding back to a storm. He's not understanding, Jungkook. I'm scared. Jungkook pulled you in a hug. Don't. I'm here. I'll handle it, he said quietly. You didn't know what Jungkook said to him, but Junghyun didn't appear at the next few events. Peace finally. Jungkook was more attentive, sensing your fear. He made sure to walk beside you, hold your hand in front of others, and whisper things that made you laugh again. You felt safe with him. One night, while dropping you home, he parked the car and held your hand. I know things started because of our families, but I want you to know I would have chosen you anyway. He said. You blinked back tears. I was your fan long before I became your fiance. You whispered. He smiled and kissed your forehead. Then let me earn the title of your husband. You thought things were finally falling into place until a letter arrived. No name, just one line in messy handwriting. Wives don't stay loyal to men who leave them alone. You knew who it was from. Your wedding day arrived. The venue was magical. Candles floated in glass bowls. Soft music played. You wore the most beautiful red dress you had ever seen. And Jungkook, he looked like a dream. As the vows began, your heart was full, but then Junghyun showed up, not as a guest. He walked straight into the aisle, interrupting the ceremony. I object. Gasps echoed. Jungkook stood up, his fists clenched. Junghyun, get out. She deserves to know the truth. He yelled. You don't love her. You are doing this for the company, for the press, but me, I love her. I have loved her since the day I saw her smile at that stupid charity gala. Security, Jungkook snapped. You can't stop me, Hyung. You took everything from me, not her too. You stepped forward. Junghyun, enough. I'm marrying Jungkook because I love him. He stared at you, heartbroken. You'll regret it. No, you said softly. I would regret letting your obsession ruin my happiness. He was dragged away. Jungkook pulled you into his arms. You still want this? He asked, and you nodded. More than anything. And as the vows were completed and the lights glowed around you both, you knew this wasn't just an arranged marriage. It was the start of a forever you both chose.